In your experience, what should be the bare minimum to help people integrate besides helping them learn the language and find a job? Should there be other things as well?
Reception alongside language training, cultural orientation and assistance to be inserted in the labor market, I think, are the most important measure that should be taken by all member states in order to facilitate the integration of refugees. And I think we should also take into account that helping refugees and asylum seekers to integrate is not just a humanitarian gesture towards the refugee themselves. It's also something that is in the primary interest of the receiving state, because better integrated refugees and asylum seekers make them better part of our own society and therefore strengthen our own social system.
How about psychological assistance?
I would say 100% of the people arriving in Europe have undergone very heavy, stressful and traumatic situation. Then we should add that among the people arriving in Europe, you also have a specific category that have a high degree of vulnerability. You have about 25% of those who have arrived in Europe in the last 2 years are unaccompanied minors, so children of various age, but some very young, that have been traveling alone and that are here now in Europe alone, separated from all and any member of their family. You have women traveling alone, you have elderly or sick people, so you have a different set of vulnerability that would add to the stress of the situation. So psychosocial support is a key element if we want to try to restore the dignity of the people that are arriving in Europe.
Do you think Europe is doing enough?
From a demographic point of view, Europe has the need to improve and increase their intake of labor migrants. Therefore, it's not just, again, a question of helping refugees and migrants, it's also a question of doing our own European interest in terms of better managing and better governing overall mobility. And lastly, of course, there are several regions of the world that are doing much more in terms of hosting refugees, not just neighboring country of crisis like Syria, but also Canada or the United States that have a large yearly resettlement program.
Okay, well, thank you very much for your insights. Thank you for joining us on
Most
Insiders.
welcome.
So integration policies do vary from one European country to the next, and so do their readiness to welcome refugees. But the influx of migrants is far from being over. And it is, if not our moral duty, certainly in our interest in Europe to make sure refugees do not become marginalized populations, but hopefully productive members of society. And as a matter of fact, most of them aspire to just that.